Good morning, dear students. Today I will take up the lesson 2DL. 2DL is a short story written by Count Leo Tolstoy, a popular Russian writer who has written many novels and short stories. So thus, this short story, 2DL, is written by a popular Russian writer, Count Leo Tolstoy. Count Leo Tolstoy is a master of realistic fiction. Fiction ಅಂದ್ರೆ novel ಅಂತಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಕಥೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. He is a master of realistic fiction. That means his short stories or novels, they are very realistic. So thus Count Leo Tolstoy is a master of realistic fiction and is considered to be one of the world's greatest novelists. Like Shakespeare is the world's greatest playwright. In the same way, Count Leo Tolstoy is the world's greatest novelist. Among the novels written by Count Leo Tolstoy, two novels have become very popular. That they are War and Peace and Anna Karenina. War and Peace and Anna Karenina, these are the two popular novels written by Count Leo Tolstoy. Apart from novels, Count Leo Tolstoy has also written plays and essays. He has also written plays and essays. Leo Tolstoy, he had moralistic views. That means in almost all his novels and short stories or plays, he tries to convey some moral message to the society. So thus, Tolstoy, he had moralistic views. That's why he became noted. Count Leo Tolstoy became noted as a moral thinker and social reformer. Social reformer ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಸುಧಾರಕ ಅಂತ, ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಸುಧಾರಕ. So thus, since he possessed moralistic view, he became noted as a moral thinker and social reformer. Through this lesson also, Count Leo Tolstoy, he tries to convey some moralistic message to the society. Before that, let us know the meaning of the title 2DL. 2DL. So what is meant by DL? Usually DL means, according to us, Preeti Patrarada antandru. Because we say dear sister, dear mother, dear brother, is it not? So it means what? Dear sister, dear brother, dear mother means what? Dear here means Preeti Patrarada antandru. But here dear means too expensive or too costly ಅಂತಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ತುಂಬ ದುಬಾರಿಯಾದದ್ದು ಅಂತಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. Too costly, too expensive, TOO ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾನೇ ಅಂತಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ತುಂಬ ಅಂತಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು Here dear means costly or expensive. Costly or expensive. Too dear, that means too costly or too expensive. So what is too costly or too expensive? Let us read the story and understand what is too costly or too expensive in this short story. Before going to the lesson, what's the theme of this short story? What's the theme of this short story? Vision. The theme of this short story is governance, justice, morality and power. So this is the theme of this short story. That is governance, justice, morality and power. So this is the theme of this short story. And then, what is the author, Count Leo Tolstoy, tries to tell us through this short story? Count Leo Tolstoy, in this short story, he ridicules ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಪಹಾಸ್ಯ ಮಾಡೋದು. Count Leo Tolstoy, in this short story, he ridicules the ways of punishing criminals, and also how the justice is delivered in modern states. How the justice is delivered in modern state. In this short story, Count Leo Tolstoy, he also says or he satirizes ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಪಹಾಸ್ಯ ಮಾಡು ಅಂತಾನೆ. ರಿಡಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್, ಸ್ಯಾಟರೈಸ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹಾಸ್ಯ ಮಾಡು, ಅಪಹಾಸ್ಯ ಮಾಡು ಅಂತ. In this short story, Count Leo Tolstoy, he also satirizes the thirst for power by the upper class in the modern state. So that is, he satirizes the thirst ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ದಾಹ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ. He satirizes the thirst for power by the upper class in modern states. Through this short story, Leo Tolstoy also raises a serious question whether capital punishment is correct. Whether capital punishment is correct. Capital punishment ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದಂಡ ವಿಧಿಸೋದು, ಹಣದ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ದಂಡವನ್ನು ವಿಧಿಸೋದು. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕಳ್ಳತನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಕೊಲೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಆಯ್ತು ನೀನು ಕೊಲೆ ಮಾಡಿದೀಯಾ, ನೀನು 2 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕಟ್ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡು, ನಿನಗೆ ಬೇಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಜಾಮೀನು ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು. ಅದು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಪನಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟ್. So now he, in this short story, he raises a serious question whether capital punishment is correct. Whether capital punishment is correct, whether it is the correct punishment for the criminals. Whether it is the correct punishment for the criminal. So usually when this question arises, definitely we have to say capital punishment is not the right punishment for the criminals. Capital punishment is not the right punishment for the criminals. If capital punishment is given, then crimes will not come down. Everyone will commit the crimes. Why? Because after committing the crime, so he has to pay some money, that's all. So nobody will take the crime seriously. So that's, but nowadays we come across capital punishment for the criminals. That's why in this short story, Leo Tolstoy raises a serious question whether capital punishment is correct. Now, let us read this short story and understand what is too expensive, what is too dear. I'll read the lesson. Near the borders of France and Italy, on the shore of the Mediterranean Sea, lies a tiny little kingdom called Monaco. Many a small country town can boast more inhabitants than this kingdom. For there are only about 7,000 of them all told, and if all the land in the kingdom were divided, there would not be an acre for each inhabitant. But in this toy kingdom, there is a real kinglet, and he has a palace, and courtiers, and ministers, and a bishop, and generals, and all. It's not a large army, only 60 men in all, but still it's a lot. There are also taxes in this kingdom as elsewhere, a tax on tobacco and on wine and spirits and a poll tax. But though the people there drink and smoke as people do in other countries, there are so few of them that the prince would have been hard put to it to feed his courtiers and officials and to keep himself, if he had not found a new and special source of revenue. This special revenue comes from a gaming house where people play roulette. People play, and whether they win or lose, the keeper always gets a percentage on the turnover, and out of this his profits he pays a large sum to the prince. The reason he pays so much is that it's the only such gaming establishment left in Europe. Some of the little German sovereigns used to keep gaming houses of the same kind, but some years ago they were forbidden to do so. The reason why? The reason they were stopped was because these gaming houses did so much harm. A man would come and try his luck, then he would risk all he had and lose it. Then he would even risk money that did not belong to him and lose that too. And then in despair, he would drown or shoot himself. So the Germans forbade their rulers to make money in this way. But there was no one to stop the Prince of Monaco, and he remained with a monopoly of the business. So now everyone who wants to gamble goes to Monaco. Whether they win or lose, the prince gains by it. You cannot earn stone palaces by honest labor, as the proverb says, and the kinglet of Monaco knows it's a dirty business. But what is he to do? He has to live, and to draw a revenue from drink and from tobacco is also not a nice thing. So he lives and reads and rakes in the money and holds his court with all the ceremony of a real king. Let us stop here. Count Leo Tolstoy now tells us a story of a tiny little kingdom, tiny ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್. It tells us the story of a tiny little kingdom called Monaco. It tells us the story of a small little kingdom by name Monaco, and this little kingdom Monaco, it lied near the borders of France and Italy. It lied near the borders of France and Italy, and it was located on the shore of the Mediterranean Sea. Shore ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ತೀರ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ. So it was located, this small tiny little kingdom called Monaco. It lied between the borders of France and Italy, and it was located on the shore of the Mediterranean Sea. It was located on the shore of the Mediterranean Sea. And this kingdom was a very small kingdom. Why? Because even a small country or a town, even a small country or a town will have more inhabitants. Inhabitants ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಸಿಸುವಂಥವ್ರು, inhabitants. So this is a very tiny kingdom. Why? Because even a small country or a town will have more people than this kingdom. ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಪಟ್ಟಣ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಸಹ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಮೊನಾಕೋ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದ ಜನರಿಗಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಜನ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಸಹ, ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಪಟ್ಟಣ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಸಹ, ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಬಾಗೇಪಲ್ಲಿ ಪಟ್ಟಣ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೂ ಸಹ, ಬಾಗೇಪಲ್ಲಿ ಪಟ್ಟಣದ ವಾಸಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೋಲಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಮೊನಾಕೋ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂತಹ ಜನರ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ತುಂಬಾನೇ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇತ್ತು. So thus it was called as a very tiny kingdom because there were less inhabitants in that kingdom. And how many people lived in that kingdom? That is only 7,000 people. Only 7,000 people or 7,000 inhabitants were there in this kingdom. And not only that, the area of land they possessed to live in was also very less. The area of land that this kingdom possessed to live in was also very small. That's why the author says, if all the land in this kingdom were divided among the inhabitants, each inhabitant will not get even an acre of land. Will not get even an acre of land. So thus, this was a tiny kingdom with less population and also with less area of land to live in. So if all the land that was there in this kingdom is divided among its 7,000 inhabitants, each inhabitant will not get even an acre of land. That's why this kingdom of Monaco, it was called as a tiny little kingdom. It was called as a tiny little kingdom. But just because this was a tiny little kingdom, it does not mean that there was no king in this kingdom. Though this kingdom was a tiny little kingdom, there was a real king in this kingdom. There was a real kinglet. There was a real king of this kingdom. And this king, he had a palace. He had a palace. He had courtiers. Courtiers ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ರಾಜನಿಗೆ ಸಲಹೆಗಳನ್ನ ನೀಡುವಂತಹವರು. ಅಡ್ವೈಸರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕಿಂಗ್. ಕೋರ್ಟಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ advisors of the king. So thus, though this kingdom was a tiny little kingdom, it had a real king, and that king had a palace. In that palace, there were courtiers, there were ministers, there was a bishop. Bishop ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಪಾದ್ರಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಚರ್ಚಿನ ಒಬ್ಬ ಪಾದ್ರಿ ಅಂತ, ಅಂದರೆ ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಸಲಹೆಗಳನ್ನು ನೀಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಇವರ ಆಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಪಾದ್ರಿನೂ ಸಹ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ದಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಿಂಗ್ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಎ ಪ್ಯಾಲೇಸ್. ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ಯಾಲೇಸ್ ದೇರ್ ವರ್ ಕೋರ್ಟಿಯರ್ಸ್, ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್, ಎ ಬಿಷಪ್, ಜನರಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅನ್ ಆರ್ಮಿ. ಜನರಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸೇನೆಯ ಮುಖ್ಯಸ್ಥರು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಸೇನೆಯ ಮುಖ್ಯಸ್ಥರು, ಚೀಫ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಆರ್ಮಿ. ಸೊ ದಸ್ ದೋ ದಿಸ್ kingdom, Monaco, was a tiny little kingdom, it had a real king, and that king had a palace, and in that palace there were courtiers, ministers, bishop, generals, and an army. But the army in the Monaco kingdom was not a huge army. It was a small army which consisted of only 60 men. Which consisted of only 60 men in the army. But even then, it was called as an army. It was called as an army. In this kingdom, like in any other kingdom, the king levied taxes on the people. This is because the king should get some income to rule the country. He should get some income to rule the country. So, the king of Monaco, like in any other kingdom or country, he levied tax on the people. Which were the important taxes in the kingdom of Monaco? That is, a tax on tobacco. Tobacco andre tambaku anta. A tax on tobacco. A tax on wine and spirits. Wine antandre it's a kind of liquor, madaka dravya. Wine and spirits, and a poll tax. So these were the taxes levied in the kingdom of Monaco. That is, the king levied taxes on tobacco, wine, spirits, and a poll tax. Poll tax, it's a kind of tax levied on an individual. ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೇರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ತೆರಿಗೆ, ಲೈಕ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಆದರೆ ಮೊನಾಕೋ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಪೋಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ದಸ್ ದೀಸ್ ವರ್ ದ ಮೇನ್ ಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ to the Prince of Monaco. He levied taxes on tobacco, wine, spirits and poll tax. From these taxes he received some revenue to rule the kingdom. But this income from these taxes was not enough for the king to rule the kingdom. Why? Because, of course, like in any other kingdom, people of Monaco, they drank and smoked. But the prince found it difficult to run the kingdom with the tax on tobacco, wine, spirits and poll tax. Why? Because there were only few people in that kingdom. Of course, like in any other kingdom, they also drank and smoked. But only a few people were there in that kingdom. That's why the king was not in a position to get a good revenue or income from these taxes. And whatever the income that he got from these taxes was not enough for him to feed his courtiers, officials, and to keep himself. Thus, the income that he received from these taxes was not enough for him to maintain or to feed the courtiers, officials, and to maintain himself. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ತೆರಿಗೆಯಿಂದ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂತಹ ಆದಾಯ ರಾಜನಿಗೆ ಸಾಕಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಆದಾಯದಿಂದ ತನ್ನ ಆಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳನ್ನು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ತನ್ನನ್ನು ತಾನೇ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಕಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. That's why the Prince of Monaco found out a new and special source of revenue. He found out a new and special source of revenue. That special source of revenue came to him from a gaming house. So gaming house means it's a gambling house. ಜೂಜಾಟ. ಜನ, ಮೊನಾಕೋ ದೇಶದ ಜನ ಈ ಗೇಮಿಂಗ್ ಹೌಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಜೂಜಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಅದು ಇಸ್ಪೆಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದಾಗ್ಬೋದು, ಮತ್ತೊಂದಾಗ್ಬೋದು. ಈಗ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆಡೋದನ್ನ ಗ್ಯಾಂಬ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಹೌದು ತಾನೆ? ಸೊ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಗೇಮಿಂಗ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಗ್ಯಾಂಬ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಹೌಸ್, ಜೂಜು ಆಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಮನೆ. ಸೊ ದಸ್ the king of Monaco found a new and special source of revenue, and that special source of revenue, it came from a gaming house where people went and played roulette. Roulette antandre it's a kind of game. It's a kind of game like cards ಆಗ್ತದಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೆಟ್ ಕಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಆಟ ಆಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಅದನ್ನೇ ರೋಲೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್, ಬೆಟ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇ ಥರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರೋಲೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಆಟವನ್ನ ಜನರು ಆಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಈ ಗೇಮಿಂಗ್ ಹೌಸ್. ಸೊ ದಸ್ the special source of revenue to the kingdom of Monaco. It came from the gaming house. In this gaming house, people play a game by name roulette. And you know very well, in the gambling, sometimes people will lose money and sometimes people will win money, is it not? But in this gaming house, people play roulette, but whether they won the game or whether they lost the game, whether they won the game or lost the game, the keeper of this gaming house, that is the person who was running this gaming house, he got a good percentage on the turnover. Whether the players won or lost, it did not matter to the keeper of this gaming house. He received a good income from this gaming house. As a result of this, he also earned a lot of profits. He also earned a lot of profits. And he also paid a large sum of money to the prince. He also paid a large sum of money to the prince as a tax. So thus, the person who was running this gaming house, he received huge profits. As a result of this, he paid a large sum of money to the prince in the form of tax. So thus, in the kingdom of Monaco, the tax from the gaming house earned a lot of money to the kingdom. But here the question is, how the keeper was able to earn such a huge amount of money? Because there were only 7,000 people. There were only 7,000 people in that kingdom. And how he was able to earn huge profits from the gaming house is the question. One, how he was able to earn so much of profit from this gaming house? That is, it is because it was the only gaming establishment left out in the entire Europe. In the entire Europe, this was the only gaming house which existed. In the neighboring kingdoms, there were no gaming houses. As a result of this, people from different kingdoms came and played roulette here. That's why the keeper of this gaming house was able to earn huge profits. The next question is, Why? There were no gaming houses in Europe or in the neighboring kingdoms of Monaco. Why there were no gaming houses? The answer is some of the little German sovereigns, sovereign ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ವಾಧಿಕಾರಿ ಅಂತ. Some of the little German sovereigns, they were also running the gaming houses of the same kind in their kingdom. They were also, the German sovereigns, they were also running the gaming houses of the same kind in their kingdoms. But some years ago, they were forbidden to do so. Forbidden ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಷೇಧಿಸಲಾಯಿತು. The German sovereigns, they forbade playing this roulette in the gaming houses. They banned the gaming houses in their kingdoms. Why they stopped the gaming houses, or why they banned the gaming houses in their kingdoms? Why? Because these kingdoms felt that the gaming house, it did much harm to the people. Harm ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಹಾನಿ ಅಂತ. So thus many German sovereigns, they stopped the gaming houses in their kingdoms. Why? Because they did much harm to the people. They did much harm to the people. So how it harmed the people? How it harmed the people? For example, how it harmed the people means, for example, a man would go to the gaming house to try his luck. All of you know very well. Gambling means it's a matter of luck. ಅದೃಷ್ಟ ಇದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ದುಡ್ಡು ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ಕಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. So that's how it did much harm to the people means, now people go to the gaming house to play roulette and try their luck. And when they play roulette, they risk all the money they had with them and they will lose it. They will invest all the money on playing roulette and they will lose it. But they will not stop there itself. Gambling will be like that. Gambling will be like that. One never feels like stopping. So what that person will do? Then he would risk the money that did not belong to him. He would risk the money that did not belong to him. That means he will borrow money from others and he will play roulette. He will borrow money from others and he will invest that money and he will lose that money also. He will lose that money also. When he loses his money and when he loses the money that he has borrowed from others, what would be his position here? What he will do later? what he will do? Then in despair. Despair ಅಂದರೆ ಜಿಗುಪ್ಸೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಬೇಸರದಲ್ಲಿ. Then in despair, what that person will do? He will drown himself in a river or well. Drown ಅಂದರೆ ಮುಳುಗೋದು ಅಂತ. He would drown himself in a river or well, or he will shoot himself and die. He will shoot himself and die. So thus, when people go to the gaming house, play roulette and lose all the money, what they will do? Ultimately they will commit suicide. Suicide. That's why the German sovereigns felt that this gaming house did much harm to the people. That's why they stopped running the gaming houses in their kingdoms. So thus the Germans forbade ಅಂದರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಂತ, ನಿಷೇಧ ಮಾಡೋದು. That's why the Germans forbade their rulers to make money in this way. They stopped their rulers to make money by running the gaming house. But in the kingdom of Monaco, this gaming house still existed. There was no one to stop the Prince of Monaco, and he remained with the monopoly of this business. He remained with the monopoly of this business. Monopoly ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಏಕಸ್ವಾಮ್ಯ. One person controlling everything. So thus, all the Germans in the German kingdom, gaming houses were banned. Why they were banned? Because they felt it did much harm to the people. That's why they stopped the gaming houses. But in the kingdom of Monaco, this gaming house was still in existence. The Prince of Monaco was not worried about the harm that it did to the people. He was very particular of getting the income. From the gaming house, he was getting a huge amount of money in the form of tax. That's why the Prince of Monaco was not willing to forbade the gaming house in his kingdom. Since this was the only gaming house which existed in the entire Europe, that's why people from different kingdoms went and played roulette in the kingdom of Monaco, and the Prince of Monaco, he received a huge source of revenue from this gaming house. So thus, everyone who wanted to gamble. Everyone in the entire Europe who wanted to gamble or who wanted to play roulette went to Monaco and played roulette in the gaming house. I think this is enough for today. I'll continue in the next class.